Something has to die for something else to live.
Avoiding AI, I think, is a big mistake because...
Got it? You said you got it. You said you got it.
Just let me edit this thing. I got it. Okay,
Oh my God.
Welcome to the Infinite Creative Podcast. My name is Fitz. I got my amigo over here.
My name is Sean, guys, and today we're going to talk about optimization and what does that mean at different stages of your creative career. And also, we're going to kind of kick things off with a little bit of, you don't really know how unhealthy you are. I guess we have a gym update from Mr. Fitz over here. How's it been going to the gym and finding your health level?
Okay, so yeah, fitness, health, work, and everything goes all hand in hand because like if you feel good, you basically, can work hard, you can play hard, and it's all good. But in your head, you basically build up an ego over the time, and that ego makes you feel good, And sometimes you need to test your ego, and it's like, is my perception actually reality? Because like I was like, okay, I felt like relatively fit, even though I had a couple of things going on. So I was like, I should go on a little run because my doctor said like, oh yeah, your knee is fine, you can go on a run, So I was like, okay, let's do it, Went on a little run, and I did like 2 miles or so, and I was like dying. And I'm like, in my head, because I went like a couple of weeks beforehand into the gym and hit the treadmill, like the stairs for like an hour. And I'm like, oh yeah, I should be able to run 5K like I did in the past, even though I'm a little bit more choppy than then. But the endurance was there for, an hour the stairs, no problem. And now like 2 miles running and I'm just like dying. I'm like, what is going on? So I basically got a reality check on my ego where I'm like, even though I can do an hour of that, it doesn't mean you can still do an hour of that other thing, even though you did that so many times, but you haven't done it in a while. So I was like, kind of hurt,
Ooh, yeah. Oh yeah. And that I feel that too. Doing the high impact exercises for sure, you definitely feel it a lot more than when you were younger. And it is interesting, right? It's like we do think we're better than we are health wise. Like if you were to ask if could I run 2 miles, sure. But I would probably be a mess afterwards. I'd probably be like hacking up loogies. I would be like having to be walking around sweaty, dying. It would. Especially down here in Florida, it's a whole other ball game for me down here. What used to not make me sweat before makes me a mess down here. So, it's interesting. There's a lot of humbleness with it, right? Because I'm like someone when I was younger, I was really fit and always felt like I was like keeping up or one of the top performers. And nowadays it's I don't feel that. So it's really funny and humbling when I have to like go ride a bike and I'm like just covered in sweat and just like, yeah, I'm okay. No, we're good. No, we're good. Everything's good. Even we've been doing a lot of housework recently, and there's times where I'm like, it's real work, the stuff I'm doing, but it's like, oh my God, I'm like so out of shape. Like it's just like, dang, this didn't used to win me.
Yeah, I mean, like that is like kind of the self-improvement journey where I just like, okay, I need to get back on it, can't anymore slip. And for a client that I have, he's very big into mentoring and whatever. So basically we filmed a couple gym things and I'm like, I saw myself then also like on the bench press, benching like I think for something like 3 times. And I'm just like, dying. Hey. The one was a little bit better, but I was like seeing that belly on the bench. I'm just like, this is how I look, and I'm like, this is sad. And I was like, okay, I need to, I'm inspired again. And I'm now like, okay, we got to play hard. We got to, do the right things. And it's sometimes good to see yourself working out and be like, is that me? Because we have our own perception without a mirror. You will not see that.
Oh, 100%. And, and people really, when you have to start to work out, you really need to want to do it. You want to be better. You want to look better. And so there should be something you're aiming towards, right? Because if working out for you is just a chore, something you have to do and get past, then it's not going to be effective. But if it's something that you actually in your brain, you can almost trick your brain into being like, I love working out. Like I do this because I want to look a certain way. I love that the way I look when I work out. So it's all a good thing, Once you start to think of working out for that, for me, I had to change that, So for me, like I used to do a lot of working out in terms of like, let's go to the gym, but it's not just go to the gym though. We're going to run to the gym, then do the gym, then run back. And then later we're going to do another, I used to do that when I was younger. And
Yeah.
I just found that like it actually became too much of an obstacle. And so it was not sustainable. So like a lot of my workouts now are like yoga, things like that, where it feels good and I can tell myself that I do it. And you could definitely, yoga can be a workout, you know, where you can do some pretty intense yoga, especially in out in the sun or something. And but it's like a meditative, like I enjoy it. I do this because I want to do it. So it's like I think that's what's cool about when you're like, you know what, I don't like my belly, I don't like this, because then the inverse is like, but I like how my belly looks when I work out, I like how I feel when I work out.
I'm just imagining now like a beer belly in the sun, you know, glowing. I love my belly. Doing the yoga.
Yeah, well, I have been getting a little bit of a belly myself, so I totally relate. I've got to start even
connoisseur.
yeah, well, it's because now nowadays I have a girlfriend that, you know, she just bakes amazing things, and I'm not used to that. My body's not used to that. I could usually lose weight just by like, you know, not eating great, and then it's just like I lose weight. But now I have a girlfriend that's like, no, here's brownies. I'm like, oh God. So yeah, I'm tempted a lot more nowadays. For sure.
The struggle is real. But yeah, that kind of leads into like the whole self-improvement, and that also affects like work, you know? So I'm like, okay, I gotta, you know, step up the game because I'm probably slacking in work as well, you know? And there's like moments where we're like, we think we're doing good, but it could always be better because there's someone out there who is like, okay, he's producing twice as much, if not more, you know? So there's always a ground to improve, you know, and you should look for it. And I'm like, okay, we got to do that now in all aspects. So I'm kind of deeply inspired.
Yeah. I think I 100% agree with that. To add on to that, something I've been thinking about recently too is that there's people working a lot less than you that are enjoying it a lot more too. So in the same breath, also find a way to find more ease and letting go, because I'm actually finding that the letting go brings more rewards sometimes than like fighting and tooth and nail and like we're going to meet them in the trenches. It's like sometimes good to be like, nah, just surrender that little thing, bring the troops back. Now we have more troops. Now we'll do more cool stuff. You know, it's almost this weird like flow of the universe. I know it may get a little wishy-washy now, but it just feels like, you know, you just, if you come to the world's terms, it actually may work out sometimes. It'll just be like, all right, the universe is willing this. You know, I've been doing I've always talked about that with clients, for example, right? That you let clients out of your life, the bad clients, they'll usually want to leave. You just got to let them go. Like they're usually, the bad ones go, the good ones want to stay. And so it's the same with like habits and doing things too, is like, you know, I think once you start to feel the effects of you working out, and if it feels like that aligns with your universe and that just feels universally what should happen, then it'll happen. Yeah. So I'm good. I'm happy, man. I'm happy you're working out, bro. You lose a weight. I'm going to get fat. You're going to get skinny now. I love this. We're going to switch.
We're trying. A little switch up. It's a little switcheroo. No, I mean...
Except you're still going to be taller, though. You'll always be taller.
I hope so. I mean, we live in Florida. There are shocks. There are possibilities. I don't want to be that.
Okay.
Half a man I used to be, you know? Yeah, with that being said, though, I kind of want to go into, like, the workflows, you know? Because... after like looking out for those patterns of like, where could I be better? And I'm like, oh, I realized I push stuff off to the deadline, you know, like the deadline arrives.
Sorry. So first, let's give people like a good understanding. Like, where are you right now? Like in your, like, what's been happening recently? You don't have to like give specifics, but like, what's like, is the number of clients gone up?
I mean, like the number of clients is like kind of staying the same. So I had a couple good ones, and now I have again good ones. So I have usually 1-2 good ones, and that lasts for a couple months, and then I'm rotating into the next one because like sometimes stuff happens. You know, they lose their house because of a flood, for example, or TikTok maybe gets deleted, what is maybe happening today. We don't like it anymore, and they're voting on it, you know, and that is a whole career path for some people disappearing. So there's lots of things that can affect our work, but I'm usually like 2-3 clients. That is like my goal, and keep them as like as expensive as possible. So that's where I'm at. But with that being said, if you have only 1 or 2 clients, you don't really have to produce that much content, you know, and you still can do your own thing in the meantime. But now I'm like, okay, I got my 3 clients and I need to produce their stuff, and I cannot wait till the deadline arrives so that I'll send out Thursdays 6 videos, for example, you know. I usually could do 1 video a day, and it would be easy peasy for Reels, for example. But that is like the thing. Like sometimes you push it out and then you have to do everything in like 1 or 2 days, and then it becomes very stressful. Now you multiply that with multiple clients, and it's like, oh yeah, we got a sweet editing day going on.
Yeah. So what have you done to optimize, I guess? What's one thing that you're doing now that you weren't doing before?
Well, with the mentor that I have as a client, he basically inspired me to like, okay, you kind of have to go hard, and the things that you think they don't matter a lot. So it's like, for example, yeah, if you slack off in the beginning, obviously this is not ideal. It's a bad habit, and that bad habit will bite you in the ass later on. So if you would just do a little bit every day, or the work that you're supposed to do 100%, even though you think like there's nothing to do, it will affect like the later days where it's like, oh, now I'm slacking off, being a bum, and just like game a little bit. And yeah, then when you get busy, it's like, oh, you're not really prepared for the things, because all the things you basically let slide will affect you on that day when you have to actually, it's crunch time, deadline is arriving, didn't clean the house, for example, and it's like, oh, now I have to do this, I have to do that, and I have to do this. And it's like you're falling apart, and you have to pick and choose what you let live and what you have to let die, because like earlier you did not do the things that you could have done, in a way, if that makes sense.
Oh, no, 100%. I mean, yeah, because it's time. It all comes down to time, really, especially when it comes to your life as well, because there's so much, with me off camera, I'm doing a huge house project. We've been doing it every weekend, so I've lost a few of my weekends now. So that's been pretty
how's
tough,
that going?
Yeah, it's been good. We've made a lot of progress, but it's a lot. It's a lot to just like have a full-time job essentially, like we do, and then go into the weekend and like have no time to work on anything, chill, do any of that. So it does it gets stressful. And you're right. Something has to die for something else to live. 100% right. And I think, so for me, I block out time, so where I am in my life. So this will kind of caveat where I'm at is, I have now multiple clients in the pipeline. I've usually have, I've always had clients in the pipeline, like multiple at a time, but now I have like, 4 or 5 at the beginning, 2 or 3 kind of at the beginning of the middle, like 2 or 3 at the beginning of the end of like the pipeline of like what we're doing, like designing websites, doing whatever we're doing. And the thing that's really helped is just always planning the next touch point for that thing. And that's been the biggest thing that's really helped me recently. So in my calendars, I've always blocked time. I've always had blocks of time. And I always suggest people do that out there, because it comes down to time. Every task on your list needs to be assigned a time. And that's the biggest mistake I see people make. They make these long, big lists, but they don't have times. Like even to this day, if I even like handwrite a list, I'll put like a dash and I'll put 30 minutes, 1 hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes. I'll literally be like, you need to think of how much this takes, because sometimes there's that task that you think is going to take 30 minutes and then you spend 3 hours in it. So so you have to be aware of that, because that's what blows it all up, as is it goes pretty good and smooth until something takes too much time. Now you're off. Yeah. Now everything's off kilter.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's on you. Do as little as possible and see if it's good enough, and if you pass, that, there's different mindsets, and you can adapt different ones too. But if you don't have the habit, it becomes really hard to switch mindsets and be like, okay, let's be that overachiever and let's do the work, and you will fall back to like, this is good enough, and you just push it out,
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah. You have to definitely see, because what happens when you get overwhelmed is you start cutting corners. When you start cutting corners, you start to build these like valleys of how you do something, right? So if you're always cutting corners, and like let's say it's like editing like a logo, an animation of logos, right? You're like, I never have time when I get to that stage of the project. And so every time you get to it, you're like, I'm going to use the same exact dissolve thing. And so you just do the exact same dissolve in every single project. And then down the road, you look at all your projects and you're like, I could have done so much cooler stuff at each of these things. But every single time I hit it, I had to cut the corner. And then cutting the corner was the thing I did every single time. It's the problem with AI is kind of that as well, where you like, if you train your brain to always just go to AI, you're just creating this deep river valley in your brain that like, okay, well, always do that. Don't ever find another way of doing it. And you lose ability to kind of find other ways of doing things, to do the experimental things, because sometimes the experimental things are the coolest things. But if you lose that ability, cutting corners. It's a sad thing to lose.
Yeah, I don't know. Like with the AI thing, some things need to go because, they're not efficient, And in regards to AI, it's like if AI is faster and better and more well versed in certain situations, it actually would hurt you to always like reinvent the wheel, even though you once in a while get a really nice, interesting wheel, but AI would just be faster. And if you don't do it, you get replaced by people who do it. And it's a catch-22. How much of your own brain you want to invest in a project, where's the extra Shazam that you put on it? And if you want to do that or don't want to do it at all, because like avoiding AI, I think is a big mistake because this is like a once in a lifetime situation right now. And this is another thing where I'm like, oh yeah, I need to actually triple down on AI and I'm not doing enough. And it will change everything in the next year or two. And I'm like,
Yeah, I mean, when I talk about AI, the only frame of reference that I can really create is looking at old technologies, right, that have been created. So, for example, alcohol, for example, is one of the oldest things in technology that was created long ago, and that was because it was actually a lot of times purer than the water supply, because they were able to distill it down. And so that was something that came from kind of a health place, but then over time now you have alcoholics. You have people that have used something that was created for good a long time ago, and it destroys their lives massively to this day. And so it's the same thing with AI. It is ultimately good. It is ultimately going to improve what we can do, but it's up to us as people. Do we get drunk on it or do we use it as a tool? And I think using it as a tool is good, but it's we all have that responsibility now. Just like when we did social media, we saw that as well, where it was just like, you can use this for good and you can definitely use this for bad, and you have to be the person that decides that. Because it is gross. It is totally gross when I run into people that overuse AI, that don't do anything else other than AI. And not only that, they didn't program the AI. And it's not even a great idea or use of AI. That stuff does gross me out when I run into that. Yeah. When I run into people that are almost proud that they're just generating AI images or something like that. It's just, it's not that cool. It's lost its coolness for me. But the videos are cool. But yet again, I think it'll lose its coolness too at some point, the AI videos.
It is like a weird time. So I completely agree where you're coming from. It's like the thing where you're like, oh, I see how much time somebody spent on something and how much skill it took to get to that level. And it just evaporates. And that is the whole point. It's like, that's not so cool anymore, because like, I could write a prompt, it's like whatever. But that is like the future. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think AI is going to blow our minds in all of the ways that aren't really visual in a way. Honestly, I think AI is going to solve a lot of things. I was watching this podcast with Kennedy Jr., who's running for president right now. He has like a very scratchy voice. And so people have been coming out saying, I can fix your voice with AI. Like we can actually like have AI figure out like, how do we 3D print you things like to then surgically put inside you that will help you and do, and like there's all this crazy stuff. And it's funny, and he's like, he's not doing it. He's not going to go for it or anything. But it's interesting to hear that, like, like AI can be used for some insane things. I mean, when you really think about what are the things that, like, right now, for me, the biggest thing about AI is there's a lot of things I say no to right now, even that if I just knew that AI could easily handle it, I would start to say yes to types of work that are really complicated. But like, if I had AI handling it, I could actually then say yes to new work. Like for you, I'm sure there's something in the video realm that's like really difficult, but if you had AI to help you with it, then it'd actually be like, you know what, maybe I can do that. So maybe for you, it's like, more particle animation stuff or more like, I don't know, whatever it is. But if you have AI helping, that's using it right, is it increases the palette. It gives you more to use, not necessarily easier, but just more.
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, AI in general it's a weird topic, and we don't have to go too deep into it, even though I kind of really want to. But yeah, it is one of those things. What is going on? Yeah, so what is going on in like Sean's world in regards to like what is the plan after the pipeline is stacked? What are you doing now? How do you optimize it? What's the next step?
100%. I mean, we're getting to the place where we're getting full on hours, which was the goal, was to get back to a place where like hours are accounted for. I wanted to get a baseline. I've recently entered an arrangement with an agency here to now have a baseline, not necessarily a retainer, but definitely like a promised amount of work. So now that I have that baseline going, because that's important, I think anyone that's freelance would understand that when you get consistent amounts of money every month, that's a huge deal. And I haven't had that for a long time. So the months have been like that. And that can get scary, as you know, when you have a down month. And so I've got that now. Now it's like I've got a lot of people working for me, word of mouth, right? That's always been my biggest thing, is the word of mouth marketing. Is just like do such a good job and really promote people helping you and being cheerleaders for you. You always want to celebrate those people the most. And so that's for me. My world now is like doing that, but also just optimizing things. So even recently, I'm proud to say that I'm an agency partner for WP Engine, Squarespace, and MailChimp. So I did the work to kind of make sure that all the work was done to get that to happen. And so now I'm an agency partner for all three of those things. And so it's like starting to get these things in the flow, right? What does that mean now? Now that means discounts in some of these things. Now that means trackable commission codes for some of these things. Now it means like clients can be in different parts of this and I could be getting money and helping them at the same time. So it's figuring out all those things. I'm trying to grow things up to that, because that's really where I'm at now. Now it's Sean competing against small agencies, and what can I do to either be a good competition or honestly to be someone that can help and join them. So that agency I told you about, it's very interesting. I had a meeting with them, and it's about me being like, hey, I know you're not going to give me the 5-star project right out of the get-go. I know you're not going to give me pretty stuff. You're going to give me the stuff you guys don't want to do. So like, that's totally cool. Like totally parachute me in there, parachute me where you need me, and I'll get it done. And they love that, Yeah. So it's like kind of doing that on these two different folds. Is like being super humble in terms of people linking me in and just helping where needed. And then outside of that, building stuff. And I'm happy to announce, we can put this in the description as well, is that at the end of this month, I'm giving a talk. It's going to be with the St. Pete Arts Alliance for the arts business program. But yeah, anyone's free to join. It's $10 over Zoom. You'll hear about, creating a website for artists and creatives. So definitely will be a link in the description. That's only $10. It's free if you're an Arts Alliance member in St. Pete. But that's going to be cool. So making that presentation has been cool. Figuring out how do I help artists. There's a client they're also artists locally, and so to help them and kind of figure that out. It's been really cool. There's just so much stuff happening now. It's like, it's cool. It's hard to compartmentalize, but now it's like, but that's really the work I'm trying to do, is just like create files, create systems, keep track of all of these things, because it's a lot, man. It's a lot. And it can be overloaded. Like, as you know, like affiliate links, all of the stuff, like everything around you, it's a lot of noise, and you got to capture it somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, there are really exciting things coming up, and I'm very curious about the talk that you will have there and see what's going on. Are you already prepared for it and excited?
I'm sort of prepared. Yeah. I mean, I'm almost done with the presentation. I want to have a couple people look at it and just be like, is this good? Is this helpful? Because it's interesting to give a talk about web design when you don't want to really get into the designy part of it, right? I'm just talking about what is a website, what are the parts of websites people should think about. But yeah, it's cool. It's been fun to just think about, how do I talk about this stuff? Well, if I was to if you were to sit on a park bench next to someone that has no idea what videography is and the importance of videography, how would you explain that? And it's kind of an interesting thing to go through, like making the slides of like, what would my presentation look like? It's cool. It's been fun.
Yeah, no, that's very exciting stuff. With that in mind, what do you plan on doing this weekend?
More housework, so this is the final week. The weekends have been pretty hard because we've been redoing our entire attic. We've had friends up helping us, but it also makes it kind of difficult because you're kind of playing host while you're doing that. So that's hard. You're like cooking everyone's meals and stuff like that, and kind of cleaning up after people, and then you're doing the project all day, and then it's like this. So, and then we go right back to work on Monday, and so that's been a little bit intense, but I think like after this weekend we'll be totally good. It's cool to have you guys over. This last weekend we played some Switch, had some fun, and I think it's going to be just more fun to this weekend's when the actual installation goes in. So now we get to the actual fun stuff. Up to now it's been just nonstop. Just tons of stuff. I could just bore you with tons of attic stuff, attic stories.
I'm good on the housework. Yeah. But yeah,
we'll do that on another podcast. We'll do that on our new housework podcast. Yeah, home renovations.
Yeah, well, that's then for the ladies where they can say how hard they work on it, and it's like, oh yeah, this is actually.
That's funny though. Yeah, if we were like, yeah, look at what I'm doing. I'm painting this lamp right here.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, in regards to myself, I basically have to grind today, so I'm a little bit short on time. So yeah, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, no, man, I'm excited. We're gonna have some more guests coming up. It's
nearly forgot about that. This will be very exciting. We have a video agency owner, and then we have like another designer maybe coming on, and very exciting guests. So yeah, we kind of don't want to say too much.
We don't want to say too much, but what we do want to say is like, subscribe. We appreciate you. Leave a comment. I love you, Fitz. Let's keep going.
Yeah,
episode 72.
Let's have a good one. Bye.
See you guys.